I mean, do you think it would be fair? Senator Warren's not here, so I hesitate to talk about it. Senator Warren was a distinguished professor at Harvard University. Some people don't like Harvard. Some people don't like their politics. How could you possibly allow a bank to have the option? I'm not saying they did it, but to debank someone like Senator Warren, I'm using her as a hypothetical example, because you didn't like her politics. And you can say the same thing about gun manufacturers and oil and gas and anybody you don't like, and you let the banks do it. What in God's name were y'all thinking, Madam Vice Chair?
Well, Senator, I appreciate your concerns, and I share them. I was not the vice chair at the time
I know that.
Decisions were made.
But your institution went along with it. The banks proposed it, and your institution.
All right, you just saw that. And I have to say, Senator John Kennedy came in sharp and direct. Whether you agree with him or not, he's asking questions a lot of people are thinking but rarely hear said out loud. He gave credit on inflation where it was deserved, then turned to something bigger and honestly more concerning. This whole debanking issue should worry everyone, no matter what side you're on. In this video, I'm breaking down what Kennedy got right and why this moment matters. If you like real, straight-to-the-point breakdowns, hit like, subscribe, and let's get into it. Now that we've seen...
We'll start our questions this morning with Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for that courtesy. Madam Vice Chair, credit should be given when it is due. I remember, 3 or 4 years ago, Chairman Powell and others were giving a report on the economy. Inflation was 9%. Was gutting the American people like a fish. Stevie Wonder could have seen it coming. President Biden asked, and Congress consented, I didn't, that we start spending money like it had the value of Louisiana ditch water. Had President Biden, had we discovered life on Mars when President Biden was president, he would have sent it money, immediately. And I remember the Federal Reserve, represented by Chairman Powell, sitting here, and we're talking about what to do about it. And he explained his plans, and in so many words, I said, not going to work. I've read the white papers. You can get inflation down, but we're going to have to suffer unemployment of 7, 8, 9%. It didn't happen, did it? We had a soft landing. And the Federal Reserve was in part responsible, in the best sense of the word, for that. And we don't applaud that enough. And we can debate whether the chairman and the vice chairman and others should raise or lower interest rates, and what we should do about quantitative easing, and how many economists can dance on the head of the pin. But it's a fact. We had a soft landing. Thank God for it. Now, inflation is not down where we want, but 2.7% is a hell of a lot better than 9%, without having to suffer 7, 8, 9, 10% unemployment and the human misery that goes with it. So the Fed did something right. On the other hand, what in God's name was the Fed and some of your other agencies thinking when you allowed banks to debank customers for reputational risk? Are you kidding me? Why did you allow that to happen? Because you didn't like their politics, or you didn't like the products they made. I mean, do you think it would be fair? Senator Warren's not here, so I hesitate to talk about it. Senator Warren was a distinguished professor at Harvard University. Some people don't like Harvard. Some people don't like their politics. How could you possibly allow a bank to have the option? I'm not saying they did it, but to debank someone like Senator Warren. I'm using her as a hypothetical example because you didn't like her politics. And you can say the same thing about gun manufacturers and oil and gas and anybody you don't like, and you let the banks do it. What in God's name were y'all thinking, Madam Vice Chair?
Well, Senator, I appreciate your concerns, and I share them. I was not the vice chair at the time
I know that.
decisions were made.
But your institution went along with it. The banks proposed it, and your institution sucked it up like a Hoover Deluxe.
In my view, debanking is never an appropriate activity. It is, every American in this country should have access to financial services, and they should not be limited from access to those services based on their political, religious beliefs, or their engagement in a particular business that may be disfavored but is legally
Let me tell you, folks, this isn't over yet. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Seen the full exchange, let's talk about it. Kennedy starts strong by giving credit. Inflation was around 9%, people were struggling, and the Fed brought it down to about 2.7% without crashing the economy. That is not easy, and he acknowledged it. That actually makes his criticism more credible. But then he shifts, and this is where it gets serious. His real concern is power. The idea that banks can deny people access to financial services because of something like reputational risk is a dangerous path. If it can happen to one group, it can happen to anyone. And I think Kennedy made that point well. Even using someone like Senator Warren as an example showed this is not about sides. It is about principle. Access to banking today is not optional. It is essential. So if institutions start deciding who gets access based on politics, beliefs, or illegal businesses they do not like, that is a real problem. Now, the vice chair did agree that debanking is wrong, and that matters. But Kennedy's issue is simple. If it is wrong, why was it allowed to happen? That is a fair question. At the end of the day, Kennedy did two things well. He gave credit where it was due, and he called out something that should not be ignored. And no matter where you stand politically, that is worth paying attention to. Let me know what you think. Was he right to push this hard, or is there more to it?